choosing digital design Basecamp. We're going to run the session for about an hour, and it's going to be split into about 2 parts. Firstly, we've got Kerry from the Royal Institute of British Architects. She's going to take you through her story about how they've changed their newsletter to increase engagement. And then we've got Paul and Bruno from our own digital design team. They're going to give you an interactive session and give you some tips on how to improve your design. So, start off with Kerry.
Let's check it's working. Hi, everyone. I'm just going to talk you through what we've done with one of our newsletters with the support of Adestra. So first of all, I'll just give you an outline and an overview of who we are and what we do, just in case anybody doesn't know. RIBA, the Royal Institute of British Architects, are the professional body for architecture. So we have 2 types of memberships. We have individual members and corporate members, and the main benefit of membership is that as an individual you can call yourself a chartered architect, and as a company or practice you can call yourself a charter practice, which is good for our members because it allows them to win more work and show that they're working to certain standards of professionalism to clients and the wider industry. And so the work that we do is to support our members. So we offer them CPD and advice and guidance on things that help throughout their career and help to run their practices. Some of the big things that we've been working on this year for our members are giving them advice and support post-Grenfell and kind of what they need to be doing going forward, and also just to help them with things relating to Brexit. So they've been our 2 kind of biggest membership projects that we've been working on. What makes us quite unique as a professional body is that we also have a cultural outreach programme, which means that we reach a wider audience than just our members. So we have exhibitions, installations, events, talks and workshops that reach people who've got an interest in architecture and art and design, but might not necessarily work in the industry. We have a collection of images and archives that we hold at the V&A, and we also have 2 architecture galleries where we put on public exhibitions. One's at 76 Portland Place in London, and the other one is at RIBA North in Liverpool. So these appeal to what we refer to as our public audience, so essentially, you know, people that just have an interest in that area. A couple of our flagship projects include the Stirling Prize, which you may have heard of. If anyone's not sure what that is, I explain it by saying it's the Booker Prize, but for architects. And RIBA Grand Design's House of the Year, which you may have heard of, that is on Channel 4 with Kevin MacLeod. The Stirling Prize is on tomorrow night on BBC Arts, and Grand Design's House of the Year is coming up in the next few weeks, I believe, on Channel 4. So I'm just going to get our plugs in now for when we're on the TV. These are a few images that show you what our cultural products are. So the one with the blue walls is our current exhibition in London. This one here, also at the top, is a section of our website called RIBA Pix, which is an online image library where people can purchase images. So that can be anybody from graphic designers and agencies purchasing images to use in promotional material, or it could just be people looking for a piece of art to go on their wall. There's also a screenshot there from our website which shows one of our learning events. So we run learning events for anyone from aged 5 upwards. So we have some learning events called Silver Sunday for the older generation, and then we have workshops for children that we run during school holidays. And this image here is RIBA North, our building in Liverpool, which is on Albert Dock, which is in a really great location, and that opened last year. So that's an outline of who we are, what we do, what we're working on. So our cultural outreach was the focus for our project that we worked on with Adestra. And so the challenge that we had was we had different departments working on all of those different products, and they were working in silos, essentially. So we sort of have a bit of a legacy structure at Reba where before they had much of a marketing and communications team, a lot of departments took responsibility for their own marketing and communications. So it's quite difficult for us to wrestle that off of them now. And so they were working in these silos, setting up and sending out their own e-newsletters. We had 3 different email newsletters. We had our kind of general, this is what we're doing in kind of culture area. We had a learning newsletter and the Reba Picks newsletter. And so these were all being sent out, but the teams sending them weren't communicating with each other. So we had no idea whether they were hitting the same audience. We didn't coordinate the timings of the newsletters or anything. It was quite chaotic. And the communications reflected the structure of the organisation, which was much more product-centric rather than customer-centric. And each team held their own database as well. And in some instances, they weren't GDPR compliant, so they were on Excel spreadsheets. So there's obviously quite a lot of room there for error when we're dealing with unsubscribes and things like that. So these are a couple of examples of the newsletters we were sending out. So the first one was our general cultural newsletter, which the template was not that easy to use, and those 2 boxes there were kind of replicated throughout the email, which meant we can only include an even number of stories. And then, as you can see, there's quite a lot of text and sort of random links posted there. And this was the learning newsletter that was sent out. And again, it's really text heavy. The links are quite random, and both of them are in our old branding colours. So we launched a new website last year that's in our new branding. So these ones didn't reflect what was on our website. And so there was kind of not a great transition from email to online. So that's a list of all the problems and the challenges we faced. So then we had to look at how we were going to deal with that and what the solution was going to be. The first thing we did was have a look at our data. So we took those different sets of data and cross-referenced them all against each other just to see whether there was any crossover or not. And we also cross-referenced those data sets with our member data as well. And we found across the board there was around 10 to 20% crossover there. So there's potential for kind of cross-promotion and cross-selling that we weren't actually capitalising on. Then the next thing we did was look at setting up a new preference centre. So a different way for us to ask people to give us their details, and then we could hold all of that information in one place. So essentially we could combine all of those different lists and hold them in one preference centre. So this was the form that we put on our website. That's on our website at the moment, and the information it asks for, just in case you can't see it at the back, is first name, surname, email address, and then we ask what are you interested in hearing about. So the options are what's on in Reba London, what's on at Reba North in Liverpool, other cultural events and activities, learning workshops for adults, learning workshops for young people, and the Reba Picks image library. We also asked people if they were a member or not, and if not, if they were interested in hearing about membership. So this is what's on the website. This is what people fill in when they sign up for the newsletter, but it also forms part of the preference centre as well. So behind that we have we're holding all of the data for these people on Adestra, and if they want to go in at any point in time and update those preferences or unsubscribe, then they can do that as well. So once we had established the preference centre and what people wanted to hear about, we had to look at putting together an email template that we could then take that data and use it to deliver the content that they've requested. So each of the sections in this template relate back to what's on that preference centre. And it means that we can use conditional content, so it's all quite dynamic and automated. So it takes away like the manual processes we were using before. So these content boxes, what's on in London, what's on in Liverpool, learning events for children, learning events for adults, relate back to those tick boxes. So we've also got a box at the top of the email that can be purely for content. So we can put something in there that's quite generic that we think would interest everyone. So the example there is our International Prize shortlist for 2018, which is a list of the best buildings and best new buildings in the world for this year. So that type of content we can include as well that we think there would be a general interest in. And all of this is automated. So when the email's sent out, depending on the options that each individual has ticked, those are the boxes of content that they'll see when they get the email. So once we had established the preference centre and the template, and that they both kind of work together, we then had to consolidate the data and ask everybody on there to update their preferences and make sure that everyone had kind of the latest tick boxes and everything was up to date. So we uploaded the 3 different sets of data. The first one, our main list, we pre-ticked all the options for everyone because we would have been sending them most things anyway. And then the more specific lists, like the learning list, they had all the learning options ticked for them. And the Reba Picks list had the Reba Picks option ticked. All of those lists were opt-in in the first place. So in that sense, they were GDPR compliant. And then by putting them into this automated system where people can update preferences, they can unsubscribe really easily, that meant that we were kind of completely GDPR compliant. So we didn't have to ask people to give us permission again to contact us when everyone was sending out their mammoth GDPR emails. We did capitalise on that though, and we did launch this around May time, around the GDPR time, just to ask people to update their preferences because people were sort of in that mindset where they were doing it anyway. So we sent an email out asking people to do that, and then we followed it up. So with the first newsletter that we sent out, there was a follow-up in there, again reminding people that they could update their preferences. So these were the results of the project. We had 25% of the people on the database update their preferences, which we were really pleased with. Our open rate increased from 26% to 29%, which again, we were really happy with that. Probably the best result for us was the click-through rate, which went from 3.7% to 6.4%, which was great. And I think that shows how much better the template was, where it wasn't text heavy, it had kind of a snippet of information, and we were encouraging people to click through to the website. So we're driving a lot more traffic to our website now. We also had a lot more brand consistency. So where we had different teams sending out different emails before, we're able to consolidate that into one team. So it's now the marketing team that's responsible for sending that one email out, which means you get the same tone of voice for all of those different products. And the design of the email now reflects the design of the website. So it's a much more consistent customer journey in terms of design. We think as well that we've saved a lot of our workload time. So we had all those different people sending out different emails. It's now been brought into one team. We're using a much, much better template. All of the data is now automated, so we don't have to spend lots of time working with the data. So in total, we think we saved about 50% of our time as well, which is great. And also by adding the question on the preference centre about the membership, so asking if people are a member, if they're not a member, would they like to hear about membership? We've generated over 400 leads for our membership team to follow up, which is great because we didn't have that before. And that was in the space of around 4 months. So we're currently generating around 100 leads per month that we weren't previously. So that's great for our membership team. So the things that we're aiming to look at next are trialling different send dates, different times, and maybe possible weekend resends. So where we're trying to contact a more public audience than our usual B2B audience, we're looking at if they respond better at different times. So we've got an example of one that we sent out a couple of weeks ago, promoting our October half-term workshops for children. So we thought if we sent it at 8 o'clock on a weeknight, parents would have put their children to bed. They might be sitting down, they might pick their phone up and look through their emails. So we trialled that, and we had a really good response rate. We had 45% open rate and a 15% click-through, which we were really happy with. We also had, from sending it at 8 o'clock at night through to 9 o'clock in the morning, we had 53 bookings on across our October events, which is really good. So to put it in perspective, we probably get about 50 bookings per day on our October workshops. So essentially we would have filled a day overnight, which was great. We're also trialing content at the moment as well. So the majority of the emails made up with what's on type information, but the content block at the top is optional, but it allows us to trial more content-led emails to see whether they work or not. It's been a bit hit and miss so far, probably because a lot of people do just want what's on information from us, but we'll keep testing it and see what happens. And with that option as well, if we're sending a similar message out to members as we are to our public audience, then it means we can segment that data a bit better and send our member newsletter with the member content and then similar content in this public one. It just means that we're not kind of repeating what we're saying to the same audience. And the third thing we're going to look at is a re-engagement program with people who don't open the emails. So once we've got this established for a couple more months, we've allowed people a bit more time to get used to the new format and update their preferences, then we'll look at re-engaging with people who don't open the emails and see if we can increase our numbers even more. So that's everything. Has anyone got any questions?
Wait just a minute.
Hi, my name's Mark. I work at the Institute of Physics, so we're literally like next door neighbours. All of the problems that you were having, we also have. But my question is, when you were talking at the end about public-facing content versus member content, what's the split that you kind of have in that content?
We would say prioritise member content. So when we're developing content, we generally kind of prioritise the member content because obviously that's that ensures the survival of our business. So it's difficult to put an actual number on it, say an actual percentage, because a lot of the content we can adapt for both audiences. So for example, when we have the Stirling Prize tomorrow night, we'll send an email out about that. And we'll send one email to our members and one to our public audience. But the email to the members will go in our newsletter, and then we'll have content following that's relevant to them. It will also go in our public newsletter, and then we'll have content that's relevant to them. Okay. And everything we do in terms of like our public audience, so all of those exhibitions and events, we would still market those to our members as well. It's just that they have a wider reach. So it's difficult to put a definite number or a percentage on the splits.
Thank you.
Just make my way over. Bear with me a second.
Hi, I'm Danny. I'm from theschoolrun.com. With your preference centre, did you just have it on the website? Is it part of your registration programme? Did you have any incentives to get people to fill it in?
No, we didn't do any incentives to get people to fill it in, and it's just on our website. If we, there's certain situations where if somebody attends an event and we're sending any kind of follow-up communication, then we'll include the link asking people if they want to sign up for our newsletter. But we haven't had a massive push to drive people to sign up so far, mainly because we had quite a decent number of data in the first place, and we've just been prioritising sorting all of that out and ordering it. So we do light touch promotion to get people to sign up, but we haven't done anything huge yet.
Any more questions? No. Great. Well, thank you so much, Kerry. Going to hand you over. Yeah. Round of applause, everyone. Pass you over to Paul and Bruno.
Hi everyone, my name's Paul. I'm the Digital Design Manager at Adestra. The team build email templates and design them, and forms as well. In this presentation, we're going to give you 6 email design tips for you to take away. This is what we're going to cover. Build trust. Be useful, build trust, look fabulous, get spotted, nudge to act, and test and check. What do I mean by takeaway? Let me introduce Bruno. Bruno's a digital developer.
Hello.
In the team. He has a microphone as well. He's sitting down
Yes.
there.
I'll stand up for you.
Okay. Bruno's going to attempt to build a live email during this session.
I'm not going to attempt. I will build the
Yes.
email.
So you'll see it flickering away on the screen over there, which will be a little distracting, maybe. So try and bear with us. Bruno's going to be jotting down some of these points, and so you can follow his progress. And what we're going to get you to do is just sign up to receive that email. And if you get out your phone, you can use a QR reader on your phone, or use the bit.ly link at the bottom there. Just give you a few minutes to do that. So there's no need to submit the form yet. When you see it on your page, you'll see a number of these different tips, and have it open during the session and check the ones that are going to be interesting to you. I'll leave that link up a moment, but is that all right with everybody? Has everybody scanned it? Who wants to? Yeah, okay. Yeah. Oh, it's a different link. Yes, it is. We had a problem this morning because one of the letters was a bit ambiguous. So one of the numbers, I think. So I've changed the link. So yeah, that's the bit.ly link to use. Thank you. Okay. So first point is be useful. Why do you think people sign up to get your newsletter? There's one reason alone. They think it's going to be useful to them. So whether you're inviting people to an event, or you're telling them about your product or service, or you're just trying to make them smile, make sure you deliver on that side of the bargain. So be useful, be practical, provide answers to questions they have. So this is about really content. Content is king. So right now, Bruno's building an email there. The first part, be useful. And it's following on from the form that you've just been filling in, really. We're going to get you to pick the tips that you want to hear about. And he's using conditional content. And Kerry mentioned that a lot in her campaign. They use that a lot. So we're going to build that now. It's not just content you want to be useful. The email needs to function well as well. So make sure it's mobile responsive, it's easy to use on whatever device. It's easy to understand. Next point, build trust. When I was 18, I went to Oxford Brookes University to study architecture. I was just wondering if anybody here has any work for me. I don't know, need an extension done or anything? I'd love to help. Well, you might be thinking, well, he's a designer, he might be able to, but probably the question you want to ask really is, did I complete the course? Did I get my REBA qualification at the end of it? And no, I didn't, but that's another story. But the point is that you want to know about your experts. You want to know, are they qualified? And so this is all about building trust in your email. And there's a number of ways you can do that. You can talk about the work you've done. You can put in logos and things like that. Let's look at brand guidelines now. And these are the branding that most clients you'll have these. These are documents with all sorts of useful information in. This is just kind of a summary of a few of the ones that you typically get. Last year, Adestra had a new website. It's on the left there, and the marketing team at Adestra asked for our help designing a new email template. And so we looked at the brand guidelines, we looked at the fonts, the colours, the buttons, the graphical elements on the website, and we tried to match that in the template. And you can see also we put in logos of organisations. So these endorsements can help build trust as well. And testimonials are fantastic as well. And that's, I think Bruno's doing that now. You can see that on the screen there. So how are we doing? We need a testimonial, possibly.
We do.
Yeah.
Can we get one from the room?
We've got plenty of clients here. Maybe we can just get one now. Anybody like to?
Contribute?
What about Kerry? We should be able to.
Kerry, I pick you. Thank you. We love working with you too.
Let's talk about photos for a moment. So photos are really important. So many websites we go to just include kind of stock imagery, which isn't really very authentic. And you start spotting very similar pictures on lots of sites. And you go, actually, that's not your staff. You don't know. And so we encourage photos to be real, authentic, professional looking. Bruno's going to put a picture in his email he's going to build there, but I've got 3 choices for him. So I don't know if you can help me pick one. Option A is me and Bruno at our modelling photo shoot with lovely long hair.
Natural hair, by the way.
Maybe not natural. It's not that authentic, is it? You can see we're getting a bit thin on top, actually. Let's look at another option. This is a team photo taken last week. And there's Bruno, Amy, Stuart, Chris, Tom, myself, and Nick, who works in our US office, is just a cardboard cutout. So what do you think about this one? It's certainly more friendly. We're smiling, aren't we? But it looks a bit like a family photo, and it's quite casual, and we're not really doing much work, are we? Because you can't imagine us in our office setting. So here's another option here. Shows a couple of us working. It does look more professional, doesn't it? It shows us discussing a project and enjoying doing the design work. If you're wondering where Gorka is, he's gone travelling, so that's why he's not in the other picture. Which one are you going to use, Bruno?
I'd say we pick the Gorka one because he's traveling to the email, so we add his picture there. There he is.
So the next point I'm going to go through is looking fabulous, because we judge a book by its cover, and beautiful things are generally valued as easier to use and more valuable. This is the kind of visual language that you read before you read any text in an email. And the main ingredients are things like typography and colour, space, alignment, and image choice. Graphic design is a huge topic, isn't it? And we can't really cover everything here, but we're going to have a quick go at a few of them. Before I do that, here's a template that we designed for Future Magazine's Gaming Weekend, and we just put it up there because it had a huge success, 500% increase in click-through rate following from the redesign. And it also is going on from the following point about using an image which is kind of authentic. There's the guy there at the event playing a game. So let's look at fonts. From the dawn of the printing press, the typeface chosen conveys meaning, doesn't it? And this meaning we all understand. We've grown up with it. Type has its character, but it's quite difficult to do in email because typically we have to use the fonts that are installed on everybody's computer, the Arial, the Times New Roman. And the web was the same, but it's changed recently, hasn't it? Because we've got web fonts now. And some email clients are beginning to read web fonts, which is very exciting. So iPhone renders very well. And so there's no reason why not to include those fonts, because it matches your website and it creates that kind of ease of transition between email to web.
And it also helps them by using web fonts and using live text. It helps with the deliverability and accessibility because screen readers can read your email because they're not just images. And it makes the emails lighter as well. And if someone loads the email and all the images are not being displayed, you can still see text. You can still read the emails. And another point is responsive emails. So when you open on a mobile, you can increase the text size. You can maybe change the font. So yeah, web fonts is the way to go.
What font are you using there, Bruno?
This one is Myriad Pro, which is the same font on the Adestra website.
Yeah. When we're doing templates, we'll put a number of different font sizes in there using the heading styles, H1, H2, things like that. And it enables us to put in the line height as well and get that really right. That's another thing you can do. Let's talk about colour. So colour conveys meaning as well, and all the clients we work with have colour palettes that are carefully chosen to give meaning. This template we produced for fig leaves, really we were focusing on the typography and the spacing that mirrored their branding. But when they start to bring their images in, you can see how they use kind of the passionate reds and pinks and purples. This is a template for Asda Money. It's a part of a welcome program. And it is a good way to talk about space in a design. So there's lots of circles in this. So the Asda logo itself is rounded, and you can see that's repeated in the circular image and the circle around the photo and the card itself. I had a bit of a problem where there was a bit of a hard edge when I was designing this, where the photo ends, and when people were scrolling down the email, they kind of get to that and it kind of breaks it and it looks like the end of the email. So by continuing the curve with that dotted line, it made it all feel like it fitted together as a singular thing. This is a template for kitchen and bathroom show for UBM. And they asked us to focus on the K in the logo. That was really important. The little shape chevron cut out at the side there. But it wasn't really possible to put that angle going down vertically because we wanted to allow them to change the amount of text and images and for it to expand. So we turn it around and we put it horizontally. So you can see the kind of divides there. And this kind of limited palette also really works. It's really dynamic. It makes your eye move around and keeps it interesting. This slide is just to mention that we're familiar with trends on the web and on our phones, aren't we? There's a kind of a popular UI that we use all the time, and it's just worth being aware of those trends because people are very familiar with button sizes and ways of laying things out, and if you can copy some of that rhythm, it's very easy to use. Choose your images carefully. When designing the logo for this email summit last year, we looked through lots of different graphic styles to describe the journey of approaching the summit of email success. This is what we settled with. But I just want to say graphic design is a language that conveys visual meaning, and if you learn it, your emails are going to look fabulous. Westfield have put this all together in their template we did for them. It's a single template that allows them to use their brand across multiple divisions. Get spotted. The inbox is a crowded place. How do you get your message noticed and read? So you've established yourself as useful, trustworthy. You're looking fabulous, but is that enough? to get somebody's attention. Really, you need that hook, that something that surprises, that something to build curiosity, to get somebody to click through. How about an exclusive offer? Or something they're just not expecting?
I've got an idea.
Oh.
How about we offer free email designs for anyone that gets an Adestra tattoo?
An Adestra tattoo?
Yeah. Check it out.
That's a wild idea, Bruno.
I like
think
it.
It might just work. And we know our clients really love Adestra. I think it's going to be a success. What do you think? Next thing I'm going to talk about, while Bruno's just working on the tattoo content, is animation and kinetic elements in email. It's another way to grab the eye, to get people to stay a little bit longer. So this is an email from our Campaign of the Month article on Adestra website. Talks about Mortu's client, Wittard, and shows how their experience of using this animated GIF increased their sales target by 28%. What's really cool is they did split testing. They had one idea about how they thought the content should look and another more concise one, which is this one, and then they tested it to a real audience, and I'd really recommend that to you as well. Little design changes, big ones. Put them through our split test and see which one is going to work. We did an animation last year inviting you guys to our pub quiz. And this used CSS animations of the figures walking in with snow drifting in the background. Looks really great on mobile. Background expands forever, just kind of tiling like that. And it still looks good on Outlook. You get the nice image and it still makes sense. This was our Christmas snow dome Christmas card that we sent last year. It was very popular. Shows our the different locations where we have offices around the world and key landmarks in those countries. Uses a combination of CSS animation and animated GIFs. The CSS animation to shake the dome, and then the snow was the GIF. But yeah, we were very pleased with the result, and it was interesting trying to compress the size of the GIF so that it would load quickly. The more we compressed it, the more it looked like snow, which was quite useful. People like these animations and kinetic stuff. We were really pleased to see this email being listed on the Really Good Emails website as an example of good design. We're nearly there, guys. We've got a couple more, but these are going to be quite quick. So, nudge to act. So far, we've been really focusing on the customer experience, and rightly so. But you guys have business objectives as well, don't you? And let's face it, our customers sometimes need a little bit of a nudge to at the right time to get them to commit. So what are the basics you can use in email design? Here's a couple of ideas that you're probably very familiar with. But one is exclusivity. So if I said to the email that we're building in the Basecamp today is only available today for you guys, your VIPs, you kind of feel special, don't you? That's nice. The other one is fear of missing out. So you know you only have this chance today to complete the form. Otherwise, you're not going to get the email. So it's going to motivate you to go and click submit at the end of this and get the email through. We often see this in emails with countdown timers and limited offers and things like that. And we have some amazing partners that can help you create those dynamic images which change as you reach the deadline or whatever. Here's a template we designed for Born Free when they had a new website. You can see how they use images and text to stir an emotional response, one of outrage, urgency, and draws the reader towards clicking on that donate button because they care about survival of these animals. Finally, test and check. So the digital design team at the end of each project will go through a big list of checklist, different points, checking the code's right, that it's valid HTML, checking that there's high quality images for mobile retina ready, that there's a subject line, there's alt labels, it's been tested in content and spam, that it's looking right in every device. You've included an unsubscribe link, and there's loads of them. And your readers will notice one of those if you get it wrong, won't they? So spend some time checking, but excuse me. If you do get something wrong, don't worry too much. We all know that apology emails get the most opens, don't they? So there we have it. In this presentation, we covered 6 tips for designing the very best emails. Be useful, because content is king. Build trust. You are an expert. Provide the proof. Be consistent. Look fabulous. Create beautiful things by learning design principles like typography, color, space, and image. Sorry, my voice is going, isn't it? Get spotted. Give us something we can't resist or makes us curious. Nudge and act. Use persuasion to get that button clicked. And test and check. Make it work. I think there's one more thing, Bruno, is that we need a hero image at the top of your email there.
We do. And I got just the right one while everybody was scanning the QR code. I took a cheeky photo of you all, and you're going to be in this campaign. There you go.
Oh my gosh.
You look
So
great.
guys, it's time to submit that form if you haven't already. We'll be doing our checks and be sending you an email shortly. Enjoy your design takeaway.